The show starts now. Welcome to the weekly round table, where the takes are hot and FOMO set to disable. Welcome to the weekly round table, where friends are made and we all drink that red maple. Break. Juan's got his eyes on the latest somehow. We being forex that make you go wild. Crypto crazy is a man on a mission like a Tesla. He most def got a vision. Weekly round table, we got no cables predicting the future.
Is the bull market over? We're going to show you some data and other info as to reasons why I don't think it actually is. Thanks for joining the stream. We are one day late. I was a little bit under the weather yesterday, but feeling much better today. So we are going to get out all the information that you need to know in this current crypto crash, correction, dip, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget, nothing on the stream is considered financial advice. It is strictly for education and entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors. With that out of the way, I'm going to bring up the rest of the panel. This week, I have Juan G and Terry joining me. How are you gentlemen doing?
Good evening, team. Good evening, everybody. Fired up.
Good evening. Yeah, excited about the opportunities again as well.
Beautiful. Okay, we'll get right into it. First of all, guys, we're going to go over there's been a lot to talk about, a lot of news and a lot of headlines, but we'll go over the major ones that are going to be important to the listeners. First off, everyone knows that, the sentiment in the crypto market right now, in general, in all markets, whether it be TradFi or crypto, is pretty low. Currently, the fear and greed index on the crypto space is down at around a 10, which is significant because the last time we were at a 10 was back in the FTX crash. This has only happened like 6 other times in the history of Bitcoin and crypto. So that is pretty significant. The overall sentiment is way down. A lot of people are actually wondering if this is the end of the bull market, which would have, if indeed it is, and that 109,000 was the top, it was like any other crypto cycle that we've had. Typically we have, on average, after the halving, at least 420 days of before we reach the peak of for Bitcoin, and then the altcoins go on a run typically after that. But we're nowhere near that. I'll show it on the chart that according to the average of all of the cycles that we've had in crypto, we shouldn't be near the cycle top until around mid-June. So if indeed the bull market is over now, it's an oddity, and we're going to show data to maybe show or draw your own conclusions. But I don't really believe that the bull market is over. This is pretty much a healthy correction. Every other bull market that we've had, Bitcoin has seen 25, 30, even 35% dip, sometimes even more in the earlier 2 bull markets. So this could be just your average mid-cycle correction. But like I said, we'll show data and charts to maybe support that theory. Gentlemen, I'll start with you, Juan. What are your thoughts on the current market right now? And, where do you think we are in the market, in the phases?
Well, first you got to kind of consider where we're at when it comes to the safety of our cryptocurrency. And then you hear Bybit, kind of get robbed for $1.5 billion worth of cryptocurrencies, right? That cannot make anyone feel good about it, right? I think that plays a role. You're looking at the trade wars between different countries. So obviously that's going to play a little, increasing into the fear. And we've always seen that anytime there's a major instability or safety being questioned in the crypto market, you're always going to see people overreacting to the market. But as you can see, you start looking at today and it's already on its road to recovery. Now, how much of that recovery we're going to see, it really depends. 1.5 billion is not an easy number to replace. But we kind of talked about it in our streams before that, if it reached a certain level, below 90, I think that's the 91. I think it was 90. Cruiser was even talking about it, that if it hit that below number, we're probably going to see into the 70s and then a rebound from there. And it's exactly what happened. So I was prepared. Thank you guys for the great advice. Took a short at 90, which was there. Like I had it was predetermined. And as minute it hit that target, and just left it run. So it was one of those things that we always talk about, be prepared. And we definitely was prepared. So for me, it was a great week.
Terry.
Well, I definitely agree with Juan that the market just overreacted to that. That this is a correction. We could be in a bear, right? But I just don't think that's been confirmed yet. So it's possible. It just doesn't seem like we've seen the top to me. It's just one of those situations. These corrections, and I think we're seeing this. I saw somebody on, gosh, I wish I could remember the metrics, but what we're seeing is that a lot of the sales of Bitcoin are coming from wallets that have held it for less than a year. And I think this is very, very typical of major corrections where you see the transfer of assets from short-term holders to long-term holders. Markets reward patient investors.
Yeah, you're right. I saw a metric on that as well. It's very alarming that a lot of the Bitcoin that has been sold in this sell-off were from, short-term holders who are fairly new into the market. A lot of them probably bought right near the top. So the market crashes down. They don't understand how the cycle goes, and they panic sell, which is very unfortunate. Anyone who's been in this space for a while, I can almost guarantee, unless they were taking lifestyle chips because they bought Bitcoin down at 15,000 or even below. That's totally different. But most people have been in the space for a while. They're holding because they know what's coming, and to them, they're in for the long term. And if this is in fact the beginning of the bear, there's no skin off their back. They'll just hold until the next cycle. They know that it only goes up for Bitcoin, so they have no concerns. But you're right; it is the holders that have not been holding all that long. It's new people in the space. Okay, moving on. I'll show the chart here in a minute, but the ETFs have had quite a bit of outflows over the last several days, almost a week. So that partially has to do with what we were just talking about. A lot of the new holders of Bitcoin, they don't really want to do self-custody. They don't really know how to use an exchange or get into crypto. So what they've been doing is buying the ETFs. It's their kind of their gateway into the market. And a lot of those new investors that bought those ETFs, they see this kind of price action and they panic sell. And, it's not necessarily BlackRock or Fidelity or any of those that are actually selling. It's their clients that are selling. So you got to remember that as well. Okay. And also moving on to Solana. I know Solana has taken pretty big hit lately with, the controversy around all these meme coins that have rugged, and a lot of people are losing money, and it's considered basically the casino chain, which is unfortunate because Solana has a lot more going on than just meme coins. However, the news came up that the CME Group, they've applied, or actually the world's largest future exchange, are going to be launching a Solana futures, which is amazing. And to back that up, the DTCC, which lists a lot of the ETFs, they actually did list Solana on there. And if you remember, before Bitcoin got its ETF, the BTC ticker also showed up on there just before the launch of the official Bitcoin ETF. So it could be, an indicator of something to come. Looking forward to that. That should give Solana as a chain a bit of a boost. And of course, Solana has a lot of other things that they got going on, real world stuff like their cell service through Helium. They have the next generation Sega phone coming out. And they have an AI agent project, or a few of them, but one of them in particular, Tars AI, is doing a lot of work when it comes to AI and AI infrastructure and agents. So they have a lot more going on than meme coins. Pump Fund was the big proprietor of these meme coin launches. They were having thousands a day at one point launching, and that has significantly down as of today. Less than 100 was actually launched, which is, depending on if you're a meme coin junkie and that's what you're here for, you may not like to hear that. But for those of us that feel that the meme coins just got kind of out of hand and it sucked the liquidity out of a lot of our favorite altcoins, this is a little bit of good news. Because it means maybe the the capital will finally go into the right places. We'll see how that lays out. Terry, I know you have been into meme coins this whole cycle. You kind of follow them closely. What are your thoughts on the fact that the meme coin launches have slowed? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing for the space?
Well, first you see junkie like it's a bad thing, I think it's good. No, I really do. I just that is one of the problems we've had, is just the terrific number of launches, the number of them. Most of them are going to fail, but the terrific number of rugs that we've had to, just so many extraction events. I think that the fact that it slows down a little bit, that maybe we'll get a few quality ones out of it. But even before, like the past several days, I think there hasn't been a single coin that got a market cap of $1 million, right? And before it was just like bang, 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 we were just turning several a day, easy. And So I think we're seeing that whole thing slow down, kind of cool off. People are just tired of getting rugged, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot like the highs. You know, you talk about the ETF outflow, so just touch back on that real quick. Is the tourists are attracted to the highs, right? And unfortunately, that tends to be, you know, they get into the game when things are overbought, and then, you know, they get scared. They're the paper hand. They're new. They don't know what's going on, and then the first thing that happens is they start losing money, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to play this game."
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Tourists, you know, that's a perfect word. I think we should use that from now on when you refer to the newbies in the space. But yeah, I totally agree. I think there is a place for it, and even myself, I dabbled in meme coins earlier on in the cycle because it's not that they were predictable, but you could kind of, if you got in early, especially on pre-sale, you know, you're going to have that initial pump, dump, and then the secondary pump. And usually, what I would do is I would take profits on that secondary pump. Now, the last month or so, that strategy went out the window because some of these meme coins, they would have that initial pump and then boom, dump almost to zero. So there's no way to predict. And you're right, too many people were getting rugged, and it was basically gambling. And you know, you probably have a better chance of taking that money to a casino and a slot machine than you would on meme coins lately. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Juan, what about you?
Well, I've always said the opposite, right? When it comes to gambling, I love to gamble in meme coins, and I treat it as such, as a gamble. You know, take $1,000, split it amongst 10 meme coins, 100 each. You hit 2 or 3, you're already way ahead of the game, right? So to me, I'm not anti meme coin, but I would agree that this slowing down of the meme coin and hopefully supporting altcoins, right? Because we're not sure that's where it's going to go yet. That'll definitely be a boon for the market and boon for consumer confidence. Because again, you look at the old blue chips like Cardano and XRP, right? They need that level of momentum to continue to spur out new projects, spur out new price action, and new support, right? So without this level of interaction, and without, if the meme coins continue to grow at the pace it's been growing, without its safety net, right? Because that's the key. If we had a safety net, it could be arguable, right? But without the safety net, you're going to continue to see people get rugged and take advantage of the market. And, you know, as us as a team, we'll agree that we don't want people to lose money that way. You're going to lose on your own terms, not because someone's just robbed from you, and that's different. And you know, so we're looking forward to hopefully Ethereum bouncing back and starting the spur of this new market. And for me, I'm a little confident in it only because Bitcoin's loss was a lot bigger than anybody else's loss, right? When you kind of consider the whole market as a whole. So you look at you know, how much Ethereum lost and Cardano, all these other, you know, they stay within a certain range. And when you look at Bitcoin, they lost, you know, a little bit. So hopefully there's a little separation there. So that's what I'm looking for, and hopefully that'll rebound for us really soon.
Okay, I want to bring up a comment here that the Power of Grass says. He says, it doesn't matter where we are in the market. You look at what's in front of you. If you're in profit, you should take it. If it looks cheap to you, you should buy it. Throw out the crystal ball. It's pretty good advice there, actually, from one of our viewers. Now, you talk about Ethereum leading the charge. Looking at the current market, actually, I know, as we mentioned before, Solana is kind of fallen out of favor with a lot of people. Tomorrow, there is an 11.5 million unlock. Now, that's probably priced in because during the dip a couple of days ago, or the last couple of days, I should say, Solana has taken kind of a harder hit than most, and I think that that unlock might be priced in. Now, the developers and the owners of Solana have recognized that there are, you know, yearly unlocks coming. So what they've done actually is I have to look into it more, but they've reduced the inflation almost to the point where it's deflationary. So the unlocks going forward won't be as big of a deal, and they won't be as big. Now, that being said, looking at the crypto market and the crypto prices, which we'll touch on in a second, it seems that Solana is actually leading the charge. Ethereum is actually down today 3%, but Solana is up over 7% for the day. So it's kind of leading that charge a little bit with altcoins. A lot of them are rebounding nicely. So we'll have to see how this progresses. Moving on, the other bit of news: the SEC, they've been busy. They've been, you know, dropping cases against different crypto companies a week or so, and the latest ones today, they dropped the lawsuits against Coinbase and Gemini. So SEC continues to drop these cases that they don't feel should even be litigated, especially if they're not securities, and they're kind of wiping the slate clean, we'll say. And they've also deemed that meme coins, get this, I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but they're saying that meme coins are no longer securities. They are collectibles, if you can believe it. That's the terminology that they gave for their official reasoning behind it. Do you guys feel like that's a good thing, bad thing? Do you think it's good that they're going to leave meme coins alone, or do you think they should regulate them somehow? Terry, I'll start with you.
I think it's probably a good thing, at least for the time being, just to sort of see how things go. I think that there's enough laws, governing fraud that they can be brought into play that there shouldn't be a problem. There really is a lot of good news for crypto right now. It's strange. I guess it's not really strange that the market is down, because the global markets are affected by this. It's the uncertainty that's really affecting the global markets that's pushing crypto down. The dollar's strong, so all your risk assets are taking a hit. It's strange. Like you said, even gold is down, which is contrary to, that's counterintuitive in my opinion.
Yeah, that is very odd. Like we had mentioned, that this isn't only affecting the macro environment. It's not just affecting crypto; it's the traditional markets as well. They've been down. MicroStrategy over the last month has actually done Bitcoin. It's down almost 50% since late November, which is unheard of because they've been doing so well. But I mean, they are correlated with Bitcoin, so that makes a little bit of sense. We were touching on. Actually, I'll bring up the chart now. Terry alluded to gold there. You wanted to talk a little bit about gold. I'll bring the chart up.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on gold right now?
Well, a couple of things first, right? So we look at whether meme coins are good as a collectible, right? And if we have enough safeguards, and that's really up to what they do with Libra, right? Now, Libra is one of those situations where it's still ongoing investigation. What's happening? With that being said, if they don't do nothing about it, then and now they're going to say, "Hey, it's a collectible. That's on you." Then does that mean we should have some safeguards? I believe we should. We can protect ourselves against certain governments, right? We should definitely have certain protections in place, especially if it's from a different country. With that being said, we look at gold. And gold did exactly what we talked about last time, right? If you notice when the dip happened in crypto, gold stayed strong. It was heading towards 3,000. As recovery started happening today, gold dipped. We already knew that, if gold starts dipping, the recovery starts. Why? Because they're protecting their assets. They're not going to let Bitcoin right now dip below a certain level. It went too far. I think 78 probably was too far. And everybody started selling their gold to make sure they protected the crypto market as expected. And here we are, right? You saw a nice little rebound today, and hopefully it'll continue towards the thing. So this price action is not really indicative of gold's market. It's more indicative of the market as a whole. It's more of a rebound situation right now. And as you can see, once that kind of staved off, gold went back on track to climb back up again. So
yeah, you called it last week. Like you called it perfectly.
So this is not surprising. So those who took advantage of that call, we saw $100 price difference. Congrats to those who jumped on that call and were able to take advantage of gold's drop to I think it was like 28.30 or something like that. So and now we're should start seeing that rebound back during the week, unless crypto gets in trouble again, which I don't foresee. I think that the way the market is designed right now is to kind of weather these type of storms. The bull market is still not over, in my opinion. So I think it's just kind of shape itself a little differently, obviously compared to past bull markets. With that being said, we talked about Solana, and in my opinion, the price drop in Solana is not surprising. Why? Right? You heard two pieces of good news: ETFs, and then you hear futures, right? Which is unheard of, right? For crypto futures, period. It's unheard of. At
Yeah.
its current valuation of $200, I feel that it was too high a price for anybody to get into ETFs for crypto, let alone futures. So, when you see good news, what do? You wait for the fear. And that's exactly what happened, right? Everybody dropped the price. You jump in right now. It's probably a great price. And then you're going to see it get back to where it needs to be. To me, that's classic manipulation. If you look at Solana's wallets, how many people hold enough to kind of do this? Not a lot of people. You can't do this with Ethereum. You can't do it with Bitcoin. There's too many holders. You need a lot of people to collaborate to really shift the market. When you look at Solana, few people can do that. And so if you had inside knowledge of what's happening with futures, you had some information on ETFs, you took advantage of this market and exactly what's happening. So join when you see people to buy start going in there. And I think that'll be worth it. Just, my 2 cents, not financial advice.
Never, just your personal opinion. Yeah, you can see gold here had that perfect bounce off of the 200 DEMA, which is nice to see. Okay, I'm going to scoot over to the Bitcoin chart. Terry, did you have anything to add there, or?
No, not really. Just considering the possibility that the Solana release unlock rather could be one of those by the news events, sort of a reverse psychology thing. If it doesn't really pan out, then you could see a price bounce there.
Yeah, which I think is probably exactly what's happening now. I think the selling had already occurred. Like I mentioned, the last couple of days, it kind of dropped more than everything else. I think that partially had to do with the unlocks and partially had to do with the whole, pump fun meme coin fiasco. But yeah, it's rebounding today nicely. I'll show the chart here in a second. But first, I want to bring up the Bitcoin chart, which here we go. Now, I know it's crazy to say, and a lot of people are going to say, yeah, well, what if I don't own Bitcoin? This market is really fearful right now because most of my portfolio is into altcoins, and I can relate, and I completely understand what you're saying. Bitcoin may be down 30%, 32%, but altcoins are down 50, 60, 70%, some of them. So I completely understand. But you have to remember that when the market does turn around, as Bitcoin goes up, altcoins will go up, exponentially more. So I remain bullish. I know that may sound crazy. How can you be bullish when Bitcoin is all the way down to where it is now? It's very simple because we've had the perfect storm. We've had the whole tariff situation. We had the Bybit hack. We've had, so much negative news that have come out. And of course, the traditional market's going down. Bitcoin tends to follow the S&P and follow the NASDAQ and that. The reason I'm bullish is because Bitcoin has done all the things that those naysayers and bears were saying had to happen. 30% dump, check. Fill the CME gap, as you can see here on the chart, check. Get through the bad news and the whole institutional thing that's going on, which we're not going to discuss too much today. Check. So right now it's kind of, and of course the market reset, liquidity, liquidations, and leverage flushed out of the market, check. So, everything points to the fact that we've kind of hit a bottom. As you can see here, Bitcoin has had a nice bounce. We are now all the way back up to 84,232, and we did get down to, I didn't realize, 78,197, according to TradingView. So it got down pretty far, and we're already back up $6,000, almost $6,000, which is a great sign. We did get that quick recovery, which we needed. If we had that slow build up, like we had, I'm actually going to go here to the hourly, and you'll see what I mean here. On the hourly, see, in order for Bitcoin to have a good recovery, it needs to be quick. You need to have that wick down and quick recovery. So here's Bitcoin over the last several days hourly. So we had the sideways action. We lost the buy zone here, went down, bit of a recovery, sideways action, lost a bit more, bit of a recovery, lost a bit more. So when you have that slow creep back up, 9 times out of 10, you tend to get another dump down or another sell off. So this time we've had a nice V recovery, and as long as this can continue, we could continue up. Mind you, there's nothing saying that we're going to. Obviously, we could dump even further. Some people were saying that we need to revisit the previous all-time high, but that's something that's never happened in a previous bull market. During a bull market, that's usually something that occurs during a bear, which a lot of times will signal your bottom. Except for the last bull market, we went below that, but that didn't last very long. So I'm bullish for many, many reasons. Now, sorry, go back to the daily here. Yeah, so I am thinking that the worst is over. It's not obviously set in stone. It's just my opinion, but I feel that all the bearish news and the bearish activities that have gone on have finally culminated to this dip. Now, I was going to go back to previous bull markets, but I don't think I need to. A lot of our viewers and listeners have seen plenty of YouTubers and influencers who've showed charts of previous bull markets and shown the different corrections within them. And last bull market alone, if you want to include that first peak as being mid-cycle, and then we had that, I believe it was a 50-something% dip, and then we went back up to just over the previous all-time high to a new all-time high of 69,000. But even before that, in the first run-up, just after the halving, it had a 25 to 35% correction. So this is completely normal. We needed it. I mean, just look at this pattern. We had no resistance here whatsoever. We went straight up, kind of ranged around, made a couple of new all-time highs, range sideways, which typically in a bull market is a bullish thing because your accumulation according to the Wyckoff. But in this case, we needed that correction because we hadn't had one, and now we have, and we filled. We can go through a whole different stream talking about the CME gaps and why that is significant. It shouldn't make any sense whatsoever. Why do we have to fill gaps in a totally different market? But that's just the way it is. 96% of the time, we do tend to close any gaps in the CME. So that gap was closed. And now, I mean, other than, maybe another black swan event, like the Bybit hack that happened last week or a few days ago, I don't see anything, really pulling the price down even further. But like I said, it could happen. I could be completely wrong, but we'll have to wait and see. Are you gentlemen seeing anything here on the chart that concerns you, or are you feeling pretty good about the market right now going forward?
Well, for me, when looking at the market, I like to see that rejection wick, right? Kind of showing strength. I wish it would have closed on a green candle, but right, it doesn't really make much sense in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin kind of tends to break the rules anyway. And I'm just more interested in finding out if it wants to retest that bottom one more time before it kind of decides to, as a group, if it's going to move up, right? So that means we need the weekend to be really strong with ETFs, that we're seeing discounts and people are seeing it as a discount, and that people are going to start DCAing, right? If you see that, that's great. And that'll re-strengthen that EMA. And that's what I want to see. I don't need to see a huge bump up. I need to see that EMA kind of strengthen up again, and us to test the prior support level that is now currently resistance, right? We got to see it tap it. We want to see it kind of challenge it a little bit. Even if it rejects, it's not a bad thing, but you want to see it just say, hello, I'm here, right? And hopefully we'll end up with a strong next couple of weeks.
Terry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely the same. It's just that we have such strong downside momentum from this move that I'm not convinced that it's fully bled off yet. So we could see another check down. So when we initially saw price coming down, I was expecting to see more support from like the 85, 87 level. Can you change to the 4-hour chart?
Yep.
Okay. If we see that now, the price is coming back up to check that. And there's also, so that was the inefficiency, right? That was the upper bound of the candle inefficiency. There was also a volume profile inefficiency, which talked about 84. So I'm looking at this bouncing sideways a little bit, and I'm seeing 84 beginning to act potentially as support. So right now I'm just seeing that that battle between those two zones, right? Support at 84 and potential resistance, potential soft on less defined resistance between 85 and 87. Have a little concern the price may reject down, because this is really, to me, this is still part of the initial bounce from the impulsive move down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has only been 12 hours or so before we finally started reversing the other way. So 16 hours. So yeah, you're right. It could go back down if it's not quite finished its move. Right. And a lot of that also has to do with whether or not the another YouTuber calls them lizard people, but the market makers, the manipulators, whatever you want to call them, if they're not finished yet, then yeah, we could see a continuation. But
Sure. But
this
I think
has been a stronger bounce than previous, like the last 4 or 5 days. You know, it's just continued down. But this one's been a strong rebound.
well, yeah, and you would expect that, right? I mean, price cannot move down that strongly for any extreme amount of time, and that's very, very common when you see price move away from the moving averages strongly like that. That it will recover. I definitely think it will, just maybe not immediately. Now, you talked before about the the leverage being flushed from the market. I think that's absolutely true. At this point, there is more liquidity above than below. All that short liquidity is up there, really juicy. At some point, the market's going to go get that.
Yeah. Oh, most likely. And I'll show that chart here in a second. So that's Bitcoin. So far so good. I'm bullish because even if we do have another leg down, or if it bleeds a little bit more and we come down, there have been talks 72, 73. Even if that does happen, I don't believe it'll last too long, but hopefully we've already had our local low, and we just continue up from here, but we'll have to wait and see the next couple of days. So speaking of that, okay, here's the ETFs, which I will show now. Give this a refresh. So as you can see, bring that in. Okay. So you can see, this is the history of the ETFs, and yeah, there have been a few times where we've had several days of outflows, but nothing like we've seen lately. The one day alone, there was 1.01 billion in outflows, 754 million, 516 million, all within a few days. We've had 6 days straight now with ETF outflows, and that goes to what Terry, you and I were speaking about earlier in the stream. That is a lot of the tourists, a lot of the newbie investors who don't necessarily know how to get into crypto themselves. So they got it through an ETF. They, panicked when the price went down, and they panic sold. So that's what that is. Now, one good thing is that 3 days ago, we did have that massive one. Since then, the last 3 days, it's been less and less and less. So yesterday, this is yesterday, it was only a 27 million outflow. So possibly when the data comes out tomorrow for today, there's a good possibility we could have an actual BTC inflow for ETFs for today. We'll have to wait and see, but that would be positive. Okay, now you also mentioned. Oh, sorry, wrong chart. You also mentioned the ETFs. Let me go. I do want to, or ETFs. Sorry, the liquidation. So here's the liquidation heat maps. No, I don't want the heat map. My bad. I'm going to go just the liquidation map. Sorry. There we go. Give this a refresh. All right. Well, it looks like, okay, this is on the daily. Yeah, so this is not surprising. Obviously, when we dipped as low we did, you get a lot of people deciding to open up some longs behind it. But if we look on the weekly, we'll go on the 7-day. Yeah, as you can see, it's short heavy up at the top. We have approximately 7 billion on the upside and only 3 billion on the downside. And if we go to the 30-day, I think that's even worse. Yeah, so a lot of the leverage is definitely on the short side, expecting the market to continue down. So if we do start our trek back up, this could present quick price appreciation as we cascade liquidate a lot of these shorts that are here. This is getting up there, 9.3 billion, and only 2.5 billion on the long side. So yeah, I agree. Yesterday when I looked at this was a completely different story. There was almost nothing over here, obviously, because Bitcoin went all the way down to 78,000 and cleaned all that out. So if history does show, usually the market makers and the manipulators, they like to take that liquidity out of the market, and they will send Bitcoin in the direction where most of the money is. And then right now, most of the money is up top. So we'll have to wait and see. That is the liquidations. And then I also wanted to show the CBBI, which resetting that, we're down at a 67. Now, right now, I know we shouldn't even be looking at this because if this is the cycle top, then all of these indicators are wrong. the top, what are we, 4, 7 here? Because according to these, some of them, 57, 81, 51, 78, 66, nowhere near the cycle top. But if this is the cycle top, then these indicators were completely wrong this cycle, which, I mean, it's not completely unheard of. It could happen, but usually these are, pretty spot on. And when you combine all of these to create this chart, it gives you an accurate picture of when the cycle top could be. And like I said, out of 100, we're currently at a 67 at the top there. Did you guys have any questions on this or any of the other cycle top indicators? I don't know if either one of you follow any of them. Is there any that you like to refer to, Terry?
For me, one of the key ones is that the Bitcoin dominance.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go to next.
I definitely agree. I like the amalgamation of these, but simple dominance is just that's pretty clear. There's a lot of indicators though that are saying we haven't topped yet. Like you say, it's possible that they're wrong, that this the cycle was just super abbreviated this time. We'll see. I'm not sold on that.
No, me either. Juan, what about yourself? Do you use any of those cycle top indicators, or you just kind of go with the charts on your gut?
No, I love seeing the bulls versus bears chart, right? At the end of the day, for me, it kind of shows me if the market is indecisive, if the market is leaning towards something or another direction. And I couple that with some wallets that are, always tend to hedge. And you can kind of tell what direction they want to gonna go in. But since they're hedging, right, they're willing to take and hold on to certain positions. So when I see certain markets sell earlier than expected, I join in the selling. Like I'm going to repeat this like I've always said, I am not loyal to any coin. So when I have an opportunity to sell and make profit, I'm going to take it. And that's the best advice when it comes to charts, right? And looking at stuff. Like our user said earlier, right? If there's an opportunity to make money, make your money. You can always bet back in. And this is one of those things right now, right? You saw it's still a little top heavy for the week, but then you see sells the short term really still taking over, right? So until that balances out, which it probably will, right? Look what the direction is happening. Look at the EMA, look at the price action, and hedge your bet on one way or the other, right? And just be prepared for whatever nuances that might happen throughout the day. And as long as you pay attention to the market, everybody has different charts. You're always going to be successful. Just got to trust your instincts.
Good point. Okay, so here is the Bitcoin dominance chart, Terry. Now you can see back here, when was this, back in November? Yeah, when altcoins were having a beautiful run, a lot of them hit local or all-time highs. Bitcoin dominance was dropping, but since then it has been steadily rising. Now we had this trend line that goes back quite a while, actually. I don't want to bring it all the way back, but it's a trend that the Bitcoin dominance was rising during the bear market. And now in the bull market, it actually used it or bounced off it. I guess it went a little bit above here, but it was more of a fake out. It was rejected. And once again, it was rejected here and sending itself back down. Although it is almost at 61% again, but that's because of the recent flush. Every time Bitcoin drops, altcoins tend to drop more. So dominance has risen just a little bit. But as you can see on the chart here, we've been, we kind of charted out possible scenarios as to what the Bitcoin dominance could do. Ideally, we would like to see it reject off here, which it has, maybe convert on this trend line, but then reject down. And that's when we can really have the altcoin season. Maybe we'll hit Bitcoin all-time high somewhere around here. According to the chart, or the average for the halvings as in correlation to the Bitcoin peak, it could run into June. But as long as Bitcoin dominance continues to go down, then the altcoins will, overall in general, market cap will rise, and that's what we'd like to see. We don't want to see Bitcoin dominance continuing to go up, because the further it goes up, that means less of a chance for an altcoin season, and more likely that we're heading into or getting close to a bear market. We don't want to see that. We like to see Bitcoin dominance drop. And then the other dominance we like to follow, Terry, we have mentioned earlier, was the USDT dominance. And well, what can you say about that? It's, we're still not super high, but as you can see, we did kind of break out of this trend, right at support for a while, and now it's on the way up. Now, mind you, this is a nice wick. It has come down with the in line with the altcoins going up today. But yeah, USDT is a little bit high. Dominance is a little bit high for my liking. I'd like to see that USDT, instead of it sitting on the sidelines, I'd like to see it in the market. What are your opinions on that, Terry? I'll start with you.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. That has definitely gotten a little high for us. The Bitcoin dominance, if you right now it is bouncing. That level is really key. It is bouncing on the 382 level of the last leg up. If you include that big wake up, that's a 382 level. So you can see it's in that range right there, and I'm a little bit concerned with that, right? Until it breaks one way from that range or other, and it does look like it's seeing a little bit of support down the bottom there. So I'm just waiting to see a break from that range. I'm not convinced it has reversed back down yet.
Yeah, not yet. Especially the last 2 days, it's crept up. So yeah, momentum is definitely on its way up. And then USDT dominance, same thing. It has come down, but you'd like to see that trending down, because the more money in the market, obviously better for our bags. And then, as I had mentioned before, when we talked about Ethereum, kind of hoping that Ethereum leads the charge. Well, as you can see today, Solana. Well, today it's actually on the move. What are we up? 7.4%, 7.5%, or 7.7. But it has taken a hit. I mean, so has every other altcoin in the market, but Solana has taken a little bit more than the others, especially 4 days ago. But as I had mentioned, I think that's just kind of pricing in the unlock tomorrow. And today's price action indicates that's probably time to buy. And a lot of people have gotten that signal that the bottom was in. And Solana's at a good price to start DCing or accumulating, because it's come all the way down to $148 currently from its local high of what it actually was an all-time high, if I believe. Yeah, it was $295 back in January. So just a month and a bit ago, just over a month, it's come down from $295 all the way down to the low of 140. No, it got down to 130. It did 125. So ouch. For myself and all those other Solana bag holders, that's a hard pill to swallow, but hopefully it reverses here. Now, I wanted to ask you guys before we move on, altcoins. Well, speaking specifically on altcoins, not Bitcoin, we can even include Ethereum, but now that we've kind of hit bottom and everything is reset, the market is almost reset, pretty close to starting the next leg of the bull market. Which altcoin or altcoins, plural, are you guys most bullish on going forward, taking into account, the recent dips and current prices, and of course, all the different bullish news and stuff going on with certain altcoins? Which ones are you most bullish on? I'll start with you, Juan. What are you really looking at to have a good run in this next part of the bull market?
Well, I think it's pretty well known that I'm a Solana maxi, right? I love Solana. The fact that it has an opportunity to kind of regain, let's say 40% of its previous value of almost 300, right? Just shows how much room it still has to rebound. So for all those who bought at 130, 128, and now seeing that kind of this rebound, congrats, right? Because, hey, you might be on the way back up to that 170, 180, 200, 2+, right? So lots of room there. I wanted to kind of really highlight ADA, but it's like every time it makes a move, someone smacks it. And even though you saw this beautiful rejection, right? You saw this huge comeback. You thought that would have spurred that momentum? No. And now that it's trading a little below the EMA, like most, right? You're not seeing that strength back at the end of hitting that 63 cents an hour, right? And you're seeing this red candle rejection again, but that doesn't mean much, because if it didn't do it for that big rejection, you might see still further decay in price before it decides to have that level of support. And last but not least, man, how can you not support XRP, right? You look at XRP, it has nothing but clear skies ahead of itself with the news from the SEC, right? They're not going after it. And it's one of the few coins still near its EMA. So why not? Right? You can see some strong rejection candles showing some of these indecisiveness that's happening in the market. And I see XRP rebounding nicely. So those are the three that I kind of would look at if I was a betting man, as far as blue chips, right? So very easy to make. I don't see, you can't go wrong with any of those.
I agree. I do agree. The only concern I would have, you're right about XRP. It has held up relatively well in the last month compared to a lot of other tokens. The only concern I would have is I've seen rumblings on Twitter and stuff. I don't know, it's not a really good pattern, but you do see, a little bit of a head and shoulders, and there's people saying that it could come all the way back down to this dollar area, but I don't see that happening. Honestly, I really don't, because there's too much strength on XRP, too much bullish news coming out. You mentioned the SEC being pro crypto more or less now, and then of course there's been rumblings about an XRP ETF. So I don't see that playing out, but I mean there is that slight possibility. Terry, yourself, what are you looking at in the market? What do you think is going to do well going forward?
Well, I think Solana is definitely going to be one of the the big beneficiaries when Bitcoin does finally turn around, right? It's just it's been super overreactive. It crashed really hard here, and it's probably going to see a super strong recovery once things really start moving in that direction. I think you're going to see a lot of the altcoins see some sort of a it's one of those rising tide things, right? So all boats will get lifted, but I think a lot of them are still not going to survive long term. They're just, most of them are never going to come back to their all-time highs, and so that makes it very, very difficult for me, both with some of the most of the Dino alts, and certainly with a lot of the meme coins, right? I mean, there was a point where you'd be saying, oh man, for sure, like Pepe, Arc, maybe Moodang or whatever. All those are just got crushed at this point. So you really cannot necessarily expect those to come back. So I think we're probably, for me, it would be sector coins. I think Arc might come back, right? Because that's an AI one, but that's where I would look. I would look for AI and tech related coins, projects, the utility projects that are, related in that sort of realm.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Juan, if you were to pick like a narrative or an industry or an area to look forward or to pay attention to going forward, what would it be?
Technology.
Yeah,
anything that has to do with technology. Yeah, tech is being challenged right now. You can make money on both sides. DeepSeek kind of really scared a lot of people because I think they exposed some of the greed in the market, and it made people uncomfortable. And then you look at NVIDIA, whose latest launch failed. They dropped 3 new cards. They felt it's overpriced, underperforming, and underwhelming. So the tech sector, and if is who's led by NVIDIA really right now, is being killed. And now it can rebound, right? The narrative can change, and you can go long, or
it just take one announcement. Yeah,
right. Or right, they don't rally, they don't change their tactics, they don't adapt to other players in the market who are challenging them price wise, and then can continue to sink further. People are not the same as they were 10, 15 years ago, that, gung-ho, it doesn't matter, we're just going to brute force our way to new highs. Now people are seeing other competition. The social media space really opened people's eyes to different points of view on what other markets to get into. And I think these American companies need to adapt.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to somewhat agree with you, gentlemen. I'm going to say tech is going to be something to look at going forward. I do agree. AI, maybe some of the AI agents and compute power type projects are going to do really well. Now, NVIDIA, mind you, last quarter it had really good quarterly report. It was up, I believe, 24% above what they believed their earnings was going to be. So that is bullish. But I also believe, sticking with the whole tech theme, I think that one of the sectors in crypto that hasn't really had its day yet is the gaming sector. I still think like Terry, you mentioned a lot of the dinos from last bull market. You know, there was the Sandbox and Decentraland and a few like those that have never seen, you know, never come back to their all-time highs. They probably never will. That was kind of the last cycle technology, but we haven't had that gaming bull market yet so far, and I think they're due. There's a lot of great games and gaming projects out there. For example, I'm sure everyone's heard by now the game. What is it called? Help me out, gentlemen. What's that?
Star
What's
Atlas.
that?
Star Atlas.
Star Atlas is one, and the other one is Off the Grid. Off the Grid.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
those are two that are going to be coming that are supposed to be really, really good. They're going to compete with games like Call of Duty and Halo and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. But I think gaming is still going to have its day in the sun. But I do also agree with you, Juan, that the blue chips that have done well thus far are going to continue. You got your XRP, your ADA, your Solana, of course, and of course Ethereum. We're waiting for Ethereum to finally have that breakout. We mentioned it last stream that every time it seems like it's ready to just break out and bring the altcoins with it, the overall market has a dump. Bitcoin decides to say, hold my beer, we're not quite ready for that yet. So I'm kind of hoping that that does happen, because if Ethereum could finally get off the schneid and you know, show a bit of promise, have a little bit of pump in the market, and for Ethereum itself, maybe if they show that they are actually you know, going to innovate and build and try to make the chain better. If we have any kind of announcement on, you know, the scaling upgrades or anything like that, just they need something, and that could spark an alt season. But we'll have to wait and see if that happens. Okay, unless there's anything else you guys want to end off with, I'll kind of go to both of you and get any last words. Terry, I'll start with you. Is there anything you wanted to discuss or speak about before we end the stream this week?
We'll just really quickly go back on the XRP. I think the XRP definitely has great potential as an international payment vehicle. That to me is like, that's just one of the biggest advantages that they have.
Yeah.
You know, I agree that the gaming products, gaming did not really see, it did not really see the potential that we expected. And I think that was just simply because the products were slow, right? I mean, the games didn't come out, and there was a whole lot of excitement around them and stuff, and they just didn't deliver on that. They had the hype, and you know, they just weren't able to for whatever reason. Now, I think that both in the gaming sector, the tech, I mean, this is probably, you know, true generally, but it's the tech is sort of I see it as being broadly available, right? So we have these new you know, these new advances, but most people, you know, most projects have access to more or less the same thing. So given that assumption, it's the application and the packaging that will make them successful, right? So the people who design the slick up, you know, a highly appealing interface, right, and have a product that works really well, they're going to do better than the people that, you know, maybe don't do quite as well with those. They don't have quite as polished a product, even though it might perform better.
Now, staying on that topic, that narrative, I read earlier, and I just found the article here. The Big T filed for a trademark to launch a metaverse and NFT trading platform. I'm not sure if you guys heard that, but
Yeah.
you know, metaverse and NFT, those were big narratives in the last bull market. And you know, maybe that will spark a little bit of interest. We'll see how that plays out. And I have one other thing to mention here, which I'll do after after I get your opinion on the same thing. What do you think going forward? Or is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
So yeah, I think me and you had a great discussion last week on the gaming market sector, and the unwillingness for companies to take a chance on making something truly different, right? And you know, we discussed plenty of ways that these companies can use the blockchain to enhance the gaming experience and bring it into something tangible in the real world. Like I said, either it's a concept, but no one's ever brought out. And until we see something mainstream change, and I'm not talking about Big T bringing out something, because at the end of the day, is it really to innovate the space, or is it really just to line their pockets with money? We don't have a developer yet right now that's really trying to just innovate the space and is willing to risk it and put it on the blockchain and show that innovation in real time, right? I haven't seen a demo of it. So that's what I want to see to really kind of change and bring out this bull market that we're waiting for in the gaming space. And until that happens, right? And I think the best time that should have happened was during, COVID times. I think that's one of the best times that should have happened, but everybody was home.
Yeah.
But it didn't, right? So nonetheless, I think for our future, someone needs to take a risk, right? Somebody, I'm looking at companies like Microsoft. I'm looking at companies like Sony, who have these huge departments that can take a chance and say, how can we entice a game that'll affect your everyday life? And I look at a game like that, Pokemon Go, right, where everybody was in there. Why? Because they were using AR. They had abilities to just affect their traveling just to catch something, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go out of the way just because their kids were nagging them. Can we go here? I heard something's happening in this location. So
Even I played that game with my son.
Right. And so I can imagine how many times he told you, can we go over here?
Yeah.
Because I heard this Pokemon's going to be available there.
Yeah. There's a battle over here. Can we go? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. So that's the level of interaction that needs to happen in order for the blockchain to be a part of everybody's life. So until that happens, I think we're going to stay stagnant. We're going to see some, nice little 4-star, maybe 3-star games that maybe kind of dabbled in it. But until someone takes that risk, right, we're just gonna have to wait until probably another 2-3 years, maybe even more. I just haven't seen anything on the horizon. But overall, when it comes to the market itself, very bullish still. You can make money in both sides of this market. Do your TNA, guys. Be prepared. Do not react. Try to be predictive, right? Set your buy stops. Set your buy limits. That's gonna help you be more proactive on your wins. Don't wait for $8,000 Bitcoin gains. Just start off small. Take your profits, reinvest, DCA, everything we've always talked about in this channel, and you'll find yourself little by little just be successful.
The mindset that people should have. I know anyone that's been in this market for a while, they've already got kind of this similar mindset. But anyone new to the space, just remember that if you put your money in Bitcoin and believe in Bitcoin, it's got to be a long-term thing. You can't just look at investing in Bitcoin for a short-term flip. That's not what it's about. Bitcoin is meant to purchase, put in a cold wallet, cold storage, and forget about it. Long-term commitment. And when it comes to altcoins, make sure you do your research. Don't just jump into the whatever's trending on Twitter. Make sure you understand what it is you're buying. And know that when it comes to altcoins, they do have a shelf life. So you got to make sure you pay attention to the cycles, pay attention to, influencers, or not even influencers, but anyone who's actually just trying to, give you good advice or help you make money, not lose money on your journey. And be prepared to, make changes as necessary, because this market changes all the time. So the biggest thing that we try to do here on the channel is guide you and give you information to be able to be armed with all the tools you need to make the proper decisions and to make your investing journey profitable. That's the whole point. Now, before we go, breaking news now. We did a stream about this a few months ago, gentlemen, on Richard Hart and Hex. Well, the judge dismisses the SEC case against Hex crypto founder Richard Hart. So there you go. I'm sure Hex is probably pumping right about now, and the hexagons, whatever they call themselves, are probably jumping for joy. So good for them. That's it for this week. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining me. As always, Terry, great to see you. Great to have you on, as always, every week. Thanks to the viewers for listening and watching. If you're listening to this recording later on, we'd really appreciate a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed and you like what you heard, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. We have every Thursday at 7 p.m. And as well on Mondays, we put out a weekend report video. Once again, thanks, gentlemen, for joining me, and we will see everyone next week, or actually on Monday. Take care, guys.
Take care. Have a good night.
Great to be here. Thanks again.